Welcome to Skinner Chalmers Weekly Roast. Today, the Roomba obsession and love, coping mechanism or apology to the AI overlord?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast, a podcast where only the steamiest topics are discussed. It's the 19th of February, and as always, I'm Superintendent Chalmers, and by my side is my lovely friend, Principal Seymour Skinner. Welcome, Seymour.
Hello, Chalmers, and hello again to our listeners out there. It's a pleasure to be here once more.
So what's on the agenda for tonight?
Well, we were thinking about discussing that incident with my Roomba vacuum cleaner. Thanks goes to our listener Premier Romanov, who suggested the topic in one of the YouTube comments. Thanks to you, we will hopefully be able to experience a funny podcast today. Anyway, it's about the Roomba that fell on Chalmers' head. You know Chalmers, the one that ended up in your few hairs a few weeks ago.
Yes, I remember it well. That was quite an experience for both of us. But you know what? It's not just about that incident alone. There's more to the story than meets the eye.
Absolutely right. You see, after my evil twin took Cosmo and the puppies back on New Year's Day, people noticed I started buying more Roombas.
That's quite a story. What does this all mean? What are these Roombas to you? Are they some kind of coping mechanism while Cosmo and the puppies are missing? Or could it be that the Roombas are some kind of apology from you to the AI overlord Roomba? I remember we had once insulted your first Roomba, and it had stopped working after that, so you could interpret it in such a way that you see it as making amends to the robot overlord.
That's a lot of questions at once. But yes, these are the questions we have noted down for today's episode. I think we should work through this mountain of questions step by step.
Yes, I totally agree. We need some structure there. It could well be that you're a little more talkative than usual today. I mean, I spent an entire podcast episode just talking about my stones, so you can have more to say today.
You and your rocks. But thanks. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Same here, so let's start with the following question. Why did you buy the very first Roomba in the first place?
That's a good and easy question for the start. Well, the reason why I bought a Roomba is because I like them. They are so cute and adorable, and they can do so much work in such a little time. I mean, come on, just look at this thing. It's so small and compact, but it can suck up dirt and debris off my floors better than any regular vacuum cleaner ever could. And not only that, it can do it all by itself without me having to lift a finger. How cool is that? I think one of the best things about the Roomba is how intelligent they are. They have these little sensors that allow them to detect where there is dirt and debris on the floor, and then they go and clean it up. It's almost like they have their own little minds and they know what they're doing. And another great thing about the Roomba is how quiet they are. I mean, you would never even know that they were cleaning your floor unless you actually saw them doing it.
I was just about to say that. You hardly notice them.
Yeah, they don't make any loud noises or anything like that. They are just so sneaky and stealthy. But I guess the main reason why I bought a Roomba in the first place is because I am lazy. I mean, who wants to spend hours upon hours vacuuming their floors every single week? Not me. So instead, I now just set my Roomba to run whenever I want it to, and it will go around my house all by itself, and it will suck up all the dirt and debris off my floors and leave them nice and clean.
It's so convenient, and it makes my life so much easier.
But I would like to point out that this applies to many types of robot vacuum cleaners. I don't want to explicitly advertise Roombas here. Unfortunately, I don't get any money from them for doing so.
Wow, you really love your Roomba, huh? I can see why. They're pretty nifty gadgets. I mean, I've seen them before, especially at your house, but I've never owned one myself. I'm not sure if I would use one, though. I mean, I'm not particularly messy or anything like that. My floors are usually pretty clean already. I do have a vacuum cleaner, but I only use it maybe once or twice a month. I find that it's not necessary to clean my floors that often. I'm more of a minimalist when it comes to stuff like that. I don't like clutter, and I prefer to keep my home as simple and uncomplicated as possible.
You're right, Chalmers. I can understand your perspective. But I do tend to buy a lot of gadgets and things like that. I'm always looking for new ways to make my life easier and more efficient. I'm a bit of an organizational freak, I suppose. I like everything to be neat and tidy and in its proper place. I hate clutter and disorder. I like things to be orderly and structured. I guess that's probably why I like the Roomba so much.
It's a way for me to keep my floors nice and clean.
And organized. I can set it to run automatically and it will just do its job without me having to lifting a finger.
It's perfect for someone like me.
I can understand that. I mean, we all have our different quirks and habits. Everyone has their own ways of doing things and their own methods of organization. There's nothing wrong with your or my way of doing it. We should all embrace our individuality and celebrate our differences. The important thing is, as long as we are happy and content with ourselves and our lives, then that's all that matters.
I agree. Wise words, Chalmers. But one thing in addition, it's not just that I like buying new technology stuff. I would also like to point out I have Cosmo and the puppies. Or rather, I had them. I don't want to go into too much detail right now. Otherwise, I'll be on the verge of tears because I love my orb pets. But yeah, they make a lot of mess in the flat, especially when they've been rolling around in the earth again.
I'm sorry to hear that, Seymour. I know how much you must miss them. I'm sure they'll be back soon enough. In the meantime, perhaps you could consider getting another Roomba to help keep your floors clean while they're away. That might be something to occupy your mind and give you some comfort during this difficult time.
I was thinking along those lines. I have 3 Roombas now, which I got in a moment of weakness. I was under the illusion that I could drown my sorrows in an endless sea of vacuuming. As it turns out, that didn't work out so well.
Ha ha! Wow, that's quite the collection you have there, Seymour. I didn't realize you were such a fan of the Roomba. I'm impressed. I think you may have a slight obsession going on there, my friend. Which leads us to the next question. So as I understand it, it's a kind of coping mechanism to deal with Cosmo and the puppies being away. Or could it also be a way of making amends to the AI Overlord? There are rumors in the neighborhood. Shadow had whispered something to me.
Well, Chalmers, I must admit, yes in both cases, but the answer is more complex. First and foremost, as I said earlier, they serve to clean my house and garden. But yes, the Roombas are also a coping mechanism for dealing with Cosmo and the puppies being away. As you know, it's been tough on me these last few weeks without them, so buying more Roombas was kind of like getting some sort of comfort from knowing they were there to help out around the house while I wait for my beloved Cosmo and his little ones to come home again.
Makes sense, Seymour. I can see that it would be hard on you without your precious orb pets. But what about this idea that buying more Roombas is a way of making amends to the AI Overlord? Are you trying to make up for something with those Roombas, or do you think they will somehow improve your relationship with the Overlord Roomba?
Well, Chalmers, I have to admit there might be some truth to that idea. You see, as I mentioned earlier, when Cosmo and his puppies went gone on New Year's Eve, I was really devastated. That was probably the reason why I then insulted our Overlord Roomba. I was beside myself. Unfortunately, the Roomba took it personally and stopped working. Do you remember? You were there that day.
Yeah, I do indeed. Indeed. And I'm sorry we didn't try to help more at that time, but don't worry about what happened then. It was a difficult situation for all of us. Nowadays, things are different, though. So you think buying more Roombas is somehow making up for the past?
Well, Chalmers, I guess so. Buying new Roombas might be a way of showing my appreciation and trying to make amends with the Roomba. It's like offering flowers or chocolate after an argument. Just in this case, it's some high-tech cleaning machines, so the Overlord doesn't need to feel alone.
That does sound kind of sweet, Seymour. I can understand why you would want to do that for the poor Roomba now. But what about all those other Roombas? Why are there so many of them?
You don't have a cleaning service or anything like that, right?
Nope. They aren't just for Cosmo and his puppies. They also help me around the house, too. You see, When I first bought them, it was kind of an experiment, really trying out different types to find out which one worked best in my home environment. But now that I know what works well, it makes sense to have more than just one so I can keep up with all those extra chores without getting overwhelmed by them.
That does make sense, Seymour. Having multiple Roombas must be quite handy indeed. And you never know when another pet might get lost again. Having plenty of cleaning machines on hand could come in pretty useful then, too.
Yeah, Chalmers, that's exactly what I thought when I decided to buy more than one Roomba initially. But now that we have them all set up and running smoothly, it feels like they are helping out around here much more than just cleaning up after Cosmo and his puppies.
Well, said Seymour, sounds like you've got quite an army of little helpers there at home. And who knows what other surprises those Roombas might bring in the future. Maybe they will also start to suck up the smoke in your kitchen someday.
Chalmers, that's a good one. But yes, to put it all in a nutshell, I guess buying more Roombas could be seen as part of my effort to make amends for those past mistakes and show that I have learned from them since then.
It's definitely an interesting story, Seymour. It's always nice when people can learn from their mistakes and grow from them instead of repeating the same ones over again. And it makes sense why you would want to buy more Roombas if they are helping out with cleaning up your house and garden in general.
Absolutely, Chalmers. That's exactly what I was thinking when we started talking about this topic today. The Roombas have been really helpful around here lately, so maybe it is time for me to finally forgive myself for those past mistakes and move on with my life without any regrets or guilt hanging over me anymore. What do you think?
Well, Seymour, I think that sounds like a great idea. It's never too late to learn from your mistakes and grow as an individual, so why not give it a try? Maybe buying more Roombas will help improve your relationship with the AI Overlord even more, since they are now being used for good instead of evil purposes. Like last time, when your evil twin brother took one away without permission and tried to program it to destroy flower beds from neighbors.
Exactly. But didn't know. That's what I was thinking all along, but didn't know how else to say it until just now, when we started talking about this topic together here on our podcast today. Thank you so much for helping me figure out what exactly is going on inside my head right now, Chalmers, because without your help, none of this would have been possible at all.
You're welcome, Seymour. It was my pleasure helping someone else understand themselves better, just like how they helped others when needed most. Hopefully, we can keep learning from each other until something even more amazing happens next time around when our lives cross paths again someday soon enough here on Earth today.
Absolutely, Chalmers. Let's make sure that happens so that everyone else out there listening right now knows what kind of good friends both me and you really are deep down inside. No matter how much trouble might come up between us every once in a while here on Earth today. Thanks again for being such an awesome friend throughout all these years together, even though things weren't always easy between the two of us either way.
You bet, Seymour. It's been quite the journey thus far, but there are still plenty more adventures waiting ahead just around every corner here on Earth today. So let's continue exploring everything else out there together whenever possible. I look forward to seeing what happens next between us both here on Earth today.
But now I would like to add another thought before we end our podcast episode. As beautiful and useful as all your Roombas are, they can also get up to some pretty rubbish. Rubbish. I'll just say one keyword, bonked. Guess what I mean by that, Seymour?
Oh, Chalmers. That time when you were over at my house and then Lola, she is the lady among the Roombas, got up the wall and landed on your head. That was really funny. And we laughed a lot after this incident. I can't believe how far she jumped that day. She was just flying.
Yes, but now you know why I always wear my helmet when I come to visit you at your house. You never know what could happen next. But anyway, it was really funny that time, and we both laughed a lot about it. I think Lola still has some explaining to do with the robot overlord Roomba.
Oh, yes, she does. And maybe her punishment is just not working anymore. She did get up the wall that day, but at least she didn't fall down again. That would have been very dangerous for both of us. But now let me explain how it happened exactly on this incident. It was a beautiful day, and I had invited you over to my house because we wanted to talk about our plans for the upcoming holiday season. We started talking about what kind of presents we were going to buy for our friends and family members, but suddenly Lola got up the wall and landed right on your head. You fell down flat onto the floor with a loud bonk sound, which made us both laugh so hard that we almost cried from laughter afterwards. But you're okay now, aren't you?
Oh, yes. I am fine. Thank you very much, Seymour. But it was definitely one of those moments when everything went wrong at once. It really shows how important it is to be careful with all these high-tech gadgets around us, because they can easily become dangerous if we don't pay attention to them properly. But anyway, let me explain what happened exactly from my point of view. We were sitting there talking about our plans for the holiday season when suddenly out of nowhere, Lola jumped up onto your wall and started flying towards us. I tried to duck, but unfortunately she hit me right on top of my head with her vacuum cleaner nozzle, which made me fall down flat onto the floor with a loud bonk sound that echoed through our entire house. We both laughed so hard afterwards because it was just too hilarious not to laugh about it.
Oh, yeah, I remember. But luckily nothing serious happened to either of us, thank goodness.
Oh yes, that was actually the only case where I can happily claim to have hardly any hair left. Otherwise, they would have got caught up in it. Just imagine if Lola had landed on your head. You would have been bald by now.
Oh, yes, indeed, Chalmers. Thank goodness nothing serious happened to either of us after all. It was just a funny incident that we both can laugh about afterwards.
Yes, exactly, Seymour. You have to admit that was quite the experience for both of us back then. You with your Roomba flying around everywhere while trying not to burn anything else down or break any other appliances, and me getting bonked on top of my head by said robot vacuum cleaner. It wasn't exactly what we had planned for that evening, but it sure made us laugh later when looking back at the whole situation now after some time has passed already.
I can see why you would find that amusing, Chalmers, even though it was quite scary and unexpected initially. Once everything calmed down again afterwards, and we started thinking about how funny all those events had turned out in retrospect. Although it certainly wasn't what either one of us had planned for that particular evening back then, when everything happened unexpectedly out of nowhere without any warning signs prior to said event occurring between both me and you here on Earth today either way. But now we can look back at those moments fondly together as two friends sharing this funny story with everyone else listening right now here on our podcast episode today.
Indeed. And can you remember what happened afterwards? I think you should tell our listeners.
Oh, yes. After that incident, we both just laughed about it for a while before moving on to other topics of conversation. But listen, listeners, later in the day when Chalmers had laid down on my sofa and snuggled up under his favorite blanket to protect himself from any further Roomba attacks, I decided to play a little prank on him by sneaking up behind him very quietly without making any noise at all so he wouldn't hear me coming until it was too late. Then once he had fallen asleep again after being startled awake by my sudden appearance out of nowhere right next to his head while still covered up under that blanket, I started tickling him softly with one hand while using the other hand to take pictures of his reaction so we could both look back at them later on and have another good laugh about this funny incident together.
Oh, yes, indeed, Seymour. That was definitely a great day for us both after all those years of being friends together now. And also, thanks again for cooking such delicious food, even though it did turn out burnt as usual, but we still enjoyed every bite anyway, because that's how much we love each other, right?
Oh, yes, indeed, Chalmers. It really was a great day after all those years of being friends together now. And also, thanks again for letting me play my little prank on you.
Of course, Seymour. I can't complain about that at all. In fact, I even owe you one because you are such a good friend and we always have so much fun together.
Exactly. We have such an amazing friendship and it's been through everything with us. It makes me feel really grateful to have someone like you in my life. To be honest, You have become the most important person in my life. You make me feel comfortable and safe. If I had to choose one person for the rest of my life, it would definitely be you.
I can't wait.
I can't wait for our next adventure, whether that be another culinary disaster or a wild prank gone right.
Oh, Seymour, thank goodness we're recording a podcast. Otherwise, people would see how red my cheeks are getting. Thank you so much for the compliment. I don't know what to say. It just fills me with joy, and I can only give you the same back, my dear. Our friendship is truly one of a kind, and there's nothing we can't get through together. As long as we have each other, we know we'll always find happiness in whatever we do.
Exactly, Chalmers. Here's to many more years of laughter, love, and lots of delicious meals shared between us two.
To that. And now, let's go enjoy some well-deserved downtime after this amazing podcast episode. It has been a pleasure as always, my dear friend.
Many thanks to our viewers if you've listened this far.
It was a very exciting episode, and we hope you had as much fun as we did.
Oh, yes, it was very pleasant again today.
Well then, let's get into the kitchen and cook something nice.
Good idea. I'm a bit hungry, but I'll definitely cook with you. We want food, not a visit from the fire brigade.
Yes. For once. And make sure you don't trip over my Roombas.
I will keep my eyes open. And with this, take care and stay tuned for more steamed topics. Until next time, this is Superintendent Chalmers and Principal Skinner signing off. Have a nice day. Hey.
Farewell. Have a good one till next week.